Hi everybody, it's Erin here. I'm going to read you a little excerpt today from a really great book, Just Out Wanting Everything by Gladys, the collected works of Gladys, Maria Hindmarch, edited by the amazing Deanna Fong and Kara Shearer. It's collected all right. Gladys Hindmarch is a writer who kind of disappeared off the active publishing scene for many years, but she's a writer I've followed since the 1970s when I first encountered her work in the Capilano Review. In the 80s, she published a book, which I think I read some of the work in the 70s, about called The Watery Part of the World, based on her experiences working as a cook on a little freight coastal freighter going up and down the west coast of Canada, and her experience of working on that boat as a woman, and just her connection with all the jargon, with having to fend off the guys. Had a lot in common with my early experiences working on the passenger trains of Canadian National before we were shunted over to Via Rail in 1978. So there's, I'll read you a little bit. Anyways, it's from chapter 5, Some Trip This Is Going to Be. The afternoon is supposed to be my time off, but that doesn't mean it's my time off. Because I'm slow, I couldn't get the potatoes peeled for supper before 9 in the morning, when I had to scrub the mess and galley so the decks would be dry by the time the men came in for early mug-up at 9:45. And because that took me longer than it should, simply because I didn't know how to wring the mop out properly, even though after Coco showed me how. And I kept hitting my leg with the wooden squeegee-madougal. Coco got behind, but not noticeably, because she can do anything fast, but she did get behind in terms of her baking, which she said is usually in the oven when the boys come in for mug-up. So at lunch today, they didn't have pies, but tapioca pudding, or fish eyes, as they call it. And the guys insisted we have morning mug-up with them. It's your right, they said, you got to do it. So Coco and I did, and after that I washed their dishes and filled the honey jar and peeled carrots and onions and washed out the galley buckets and made breadcrumbs and fetched cans of peas, tomatoes, and corn for Coco and set up for lunch. During lunch I couldn't peel, and then I had to do the dishes again. And when they were finished, I ate with Coco and Puppy, who were talking about Roy, half the crew, and about Thor, their regular skipper, the one I met in the Empress, who was suspended because of Betty crawling around naked in port. So anyway, here I am now on the poop deck of a rolly ship with a bucket of small, unpeeled, eye-studded potatoes between my legs and a large cake tin on my lap for the peelings that every so often I dump over the side. On my right is an enamel bucket, which has a few peeled potatoes on the bottom and is 2/3 full of water. I drop a white, nicked, peeled spud in it, pick up an unpeeled one, and wonder how long it'll take me to get enough done for supper. We are entering a wide bay, a huge curve at the sea's edge. There is a small clearing far off. The light and land is golden, surrounded by dark green Douglas fir West Coast rainforest. The Nootka begins slowing down, and I get up to empty the peelings. The sea behind us turns white as the engine reverses, creating yards and yards and yards of foam on huge, at least 20 feet high, slate green waves. Quite a way off is a long open boat right on top of a wave. It slides down the wave, is hidden. Then something yellow, a blotch of red, and a bright green triangle disappear. The dot of yellow comes up first, then the large green and the smaller red. They seem to float above a wave for a moment or so, then they slide down and disappear again. In a few seconds, they slowly come up, a wave that is 30, maybe 40 feet high. I can't quite figure it out. The yellow is above the other two, a toque or something. I really should be finishing these potatoes. I'm stalling, that's all I'm doing, putting it off. I know what I'll do. I'll race to get them done before they get here. I pick up the box, knocked over by the ship's movements, and sit down on it to peel into the empty cake pan, faster than before, but not fast enough. Wish they'd peel themselves. Lefty comes out of the mess, stands over me, complains that I didn't watch the kettle. If you're up, he says, you got to keep checking the kettle. That's my job too? Sure, he says, it's everyone's. There wasn't enough water to make coffee. He chomps a raw onion sandwich made of raisin bread, butter, onion, HP sauce. Where are we? I say suddenly. Near Clues. Going to pick up a couple of interports. A couple of what? Interport passengers. They'll get off at Bamfield. Well, I say hesitantly, why aren't we moving? Because it's too shallow. There's no dock. Can't you see that? Oh, of course. He leaves and I peel several more potatoes. When I get up to dump the peelings, I see the cabinless gray boat. It doesn't seem any closer. I think there is a kid in the middle, standing up of all things. I wonder what for. The yellow's more muted now, blunter. It's funny how sharp the light is on the coast, how suddenly it switches. I leave the railing and look in the enamel bucket. There's at least 8 inches of the buggers already, and I sit down and peel even faster than a few moments ago, yet don't seem to be getting any more done because I keep missing spots. But finally I finish and look over the side again. The boat's much closer. There is a kid standing wearing a yellow toque, and there's a dog and a woman in a red sweater holding something, and a man in a green jacket sitting near the motor steering the boat. The yellow and green against the green of the waves against the distant yellow and green of the land are like a Cézanne. The sky is like a car. I race into the galley to put the potatoes, etc., away so I can go forward and stand near the winch to watch them come aboard. So that's just her sitting out on the deck peeling potatoes. I hope you enjoyed that. And think of it next time you peel potatoes. Bye for now.